Hello students, welcome to All4C Learning session 70. In previous session, we learned methods of preparation of ethers and also cyclic ethers. In this session, we are going to learn physical properties of ethers and few chemical properties also. Let us see physical properties. Dimethyl ether, ethyl methyl ether, dimethyl ether, ethyl methyl ether are gases. These exist as gases. Except these two, remaining all ethers are colorless liquids with characteristic smell. Colorless liquids with characteristic smell. That means in total ether family, only two are gases. One is dimethyl ether and second one is ethyl methyl ether. These two only gases, except these two remaining all are exist as liquids. Existing in liquid state for ethers, hydrogen bond is not responsible. I am repeating once again. Alcohols exist in liquid state because of hydrogen bonding, intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Water also exists in liquid state because of intermolecular hydrogen bonding. But for ethers, hydrogen bonding is not criteria. Next, all ethers are colorless liquids with characteristic smell. Diethyl ether has a boiling point 307.5 Kelvin. 307.5 Kelvin. That means that is very less. Means at room temperature, diethyl ether readily vaporizes. That's why ethers preferably used as solvents, because if except ether, if any other compound we are using, so many compounds are there, non-polar solvents like acetone is there, benzene is there, toluene is there, so many are there. Even though carbon tetrachloride also non-polar, of course, even though so many non-polar solvents are there, preferably ether is used as a non-polar solvent. You know why? Because of that solvent, we no need to use any separate technique for separating solvent, because at room temperature only it can evaporate itself. Means no need to use any special technique for separation of compound from solvent. When we are using ether as a solvent, and after completion of the reaction, ether will leave away itself at room temperature only. For that, we no need to use any specific methods. That's why we are going to say ethers are good solvents. Ethers are good solvents, and because of their boiling point is very less. These are lighter than water. What do you mean? Lighter than water? Water molecular weight is 18, whereas ether is more than 18. Then how can you say? No, lighter than water means it floats upon water. It floats upon water, lighter than water. Lower ethers are highly volatile. Highly volatile means they have less boiling point. Lower ethers, because of their molecular weight is less, hence we can say highly volatile and very highly inflammable, readily inflammable. The ethers are readily inflammable. Next, up to 3 carbon atoms. Ethers up to 3 carbon atoms. Up to 3 carbon atoms means dimethyl ether and ethyl methyl ether. These two only. Again, these two only. So up to 3 carbon atoms means dimethyl ether, ethyl methyl ether. These two are soluble in water. So soluble in water means don't expect much solubility. But compared to remaining all ethers, because of remaining all ethers are insoluble in water. So compared to that ethers, these ethers make little bit solubility. That's why we are saying that ethers up to 3 carbon atoms are soluble in water, but their solubility is not much more. See, alcohols and ethers are functional isomers. Here, alcohols are soluble in water, whereas ethers cannot be soluble in water. How? When alcohols are able to dissolve in water, why ethers are insoluble we are saying, and particularly mentioned that up to 3 carbon atoms only soluble. Then what about remaining ethers? Yes, here in alcohols, because of presence of OH group, because of presence of OH group, and it involves in intermolecular hydrogen bonding with water molecules. That's why alcohols are soluble in water. Whereas in ethers, these are having general formula ROR, general representation. There is no OH group. That's why their solubility in water is much more less compared to alcohols. So comparable to those corresponding alcohols, that means these up to 3 carbon atoms, up to 3 carbon atoms containing ethers, up to 3 carbon atom containing ethers are somewhat soluble. We can compare with alcohols having 3 carbon atoms also, and alcohols having 3 carbon atoms consist OH group, and they can form intermolecular hydrogen bonding with water, hence they are soluble. And these means up to 3 carbon atoms means dimethyl ether, ethyl ether also able to form intermolecular hydrogen bond, but very less extent. Very less extent, that we cannot say actually hydrogen bond, but intermolecular forces will be there. That's why we are going to say that molecules are able to form hydrogen bond, but their ability to form hydrogen bond for ethers is very less, because of in ethers ROR, here these alkyl groups are electron rich and also possess 2 lone pairs. Here because of crowding, steric crowding is more, its ability to participate in intermolecular hydrogen bonding is much less. That's why here compared to alcohols, even though lower ethers are less ability to participate in intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Next, with increase in molecular weight, with increase in molecular weight, how molecular weight increases? Here alkyl group consists more and more number of carbon atoms. That means with increase in number of carbon atoms in alkyl groups, we can select that. With increase in number of carbon atoms in alkyl groups, what happens? With increase in molecular weight, more the number of carbon atoms in alkyl groups, more the molecular weight, then obviously solubility in water decreases. Basically, ethers are less soluble in water. A little bit solubility is there for dimethyl ether and ethyl methyl ether. Now, with increase in number of carbon atoms in alkyl groups, in other words, with increase in molecular weight of ethers, their solubility in water decreases, because whenever increase in molecular weight or increase in number of carbon atoms in alkyl groups, steric hindrance increases. That's why ability to participate in hydrogen bond basically less, and that also diminished with increase in hindrance or with increase in bulkiness. That's why their solubility in water also decreases, we can say. But solubility in non-polar solvents, like alcohols, benzene, toluene, and carbon tetrachloride, acetone, etc. In all these cases, much more soluble. So ethers are more soluble in non-polar solvents, less soluble in water, polar solvents, polar solvents. Ethers are good solvents. Just now we discussed, ethers are good solvents. Why we are using ethers as solvent? Because of their boiling point is less. Particularly dimethyl ether, its boiling point is very less, 307.5 Kelvin. Because of very less boiling point, here ether means solvent easily separate, and here because based on that reason we can say ethers are good solvents. Not only aliphatic ethers, but also cyclic ethers. They were named as crown ethers. These also good solvents. Crown ethers, particularly non-polar solvents, which are much more familiar for SN reactions, nucleophilic substitution reactions. For nucleophilic substitution reactions, crown ethers are best solvents. So ethers, good solvents. And why ethers are good solvents? Because of their low boiling point, not only aliphatic ethers but also cyclic ethers. Cyclic ethers are good solvents, and cyclic ethers particularly they are electron rich species and they act as nucleophiles. And try to remember that in hydroboration oxidation we are using THF, tetrahydrofuran. Tetrahydrofuran also cyclic ether here, and it behaves as electron rich species and it donates electron pair to boron of diborane and it makes that diborane into borane. So basically BH3 does not exist, it exists as B2H6, but in presence of this cyclic ether THF solvent, here BH3 existence is there. That means they behave as electron rich species, they behave as Lewis bases electron pair donors. So by donating electron pair they form complexes. They form complexes with electron deficient species. So by donating its electron pair also they prefer to act as good solvents. So here ethers are good solvents, not only aliphatic ethers, cyclic ethers and crown ethers also acts as good solvents. Next one, boiling point increases with the molecular weight. Boiling point of ether increases with the molecular weight. Now compared to alcohols, ether boiling points less because of in case of alcohols intermolecular hydrogen bonding exists. Because of presence of intermolecular hydrogen bonding, strong association takes place. Strong association exists in between alcohols. That's why more energy we need to provide to break that interactions, to break the intermolecular hydrogen bonding. For such a case, we need to provide more energy. That's why we are going to say alcohols have high boiling point. Whereas in case of ethers, they are not able to form hydrogen bond. They themselves they are not able to form hydrogen bond. One ether molecule is not able to form hydrogen bond with another ether molecule. Whereas one alcohol molecule is able to form hydrogen bond with another alcohol molecule. That means alcohols can participate in intermolecular hydrogen bonding, whereas ethers not able to participate in intermolecular hydrogen bonding. And moreover, in case of ethers, polarity also less. In case of ethers, polarity also less. They have dipole moment, no doubt, but their polarity is less. Because of less polarity, van der Waals forces also less, or dipole-dipole interactions also less. Here we can say. Therefore, ethers boiling point is less than alcohols, and moreover, boiling point of ethers are much close to alkanes. Since alkanes also do not possess any polarity, there is no polar bonding in alkanes. Just similar to that, in ethers also there is no polar bonds. That means polarity is very less in ethers. Just like alkanes are non-polar, here ethers also very less polar we can say. That's why boiling point of ethers are much close to alkane. And alcohols has high boiling point than ethers because of in case of alcohols intermolecular hydrogen bond exists. If you observe boiling points of alkane, ether and alcohol which are having nearly same molecular weight. Let us see. Alkane with 3 carbon atoms. So 3 together 36 plus 8 44 its molecular weight. And dimethyl ether 15 15 30 plus 16 46 molecular weight 46 molecular weight. So these molecular weights are much close. So nearly same molecular weight containing compounds if you observe, one is alkane with 3 carbon atoms, dimethyl ether with 2 carbon atoms, 1 oxygen and ethyl alcohol. If you observe boiling points here, for alkane it is 232 Kelvin, whereas for ether 249 Kelvin. So 232, 249 these two are much close, whereas for alcohol 351 Kelvin. That means alkanes and ethers are having nearly same boiling points, but in case of alcohols boiling point is more. Means here because of presence of intermolecular hydrogen bonding only, here alcohols have more boiling points. Such hydrogen bonding does not exist in case of in case of dimethyl ether. And compare it to alkanes, in case of ethers, why boiling point little bit more? Because of it has little polarity, dipole moment is there. So little polarity, but polarity is very less. Now, let us see C5H12, 5 carbon containing alkane. Its boiling point 309 Kelvin and diethyl ether 308 Kelvin, means both are having nearly same molecular weight. Here C5 means 16 plus 12, 72 its molecular weight. 72 its molecular weight. Here 29 plus 29, 58 plus 16, 64, 74 is its molecular weight. Here its molecular weight also 74. All these are having nearly same molecular weights. So whenever same molecular weights, generally we are expecting same boiling point. But here it won't happen like that. In case of alkane 309, in case of ether 308. Find these two are much close to each other. And whereas when it comes to alcohol, it will be 391. That means alcohols have more boiling point compared to alkanes and ethers. And similarly, anisole, methoxybenzene, which has boiling point 428 Kelvin, and similarly benzyl alcohol, same molecular weight, both are having same molecular weight. Benzyl alcohol 478 Kelvin because of it is alcohol. Whereas if you observe alkane 409 Kelvin. So here nearly same molecular weight containing ethyl benzene 409 Kelvin and ether 428 Kelvin, whereas alcohol it has 478 Kelvin. So it is very clear alcohol's boiling point is more because of intermolecular hydrogen bonding. Ether's boiling point relatively little bit more compared to alkanes because of reason is dipole moment. And in alkanes, the dipole moment is much less. There is no dipole moment in alkanes because of no reactive sites, no polar bonds. But in case of ethers, at least oxygen carbon bond is there. That's why here its polarity will be there. And moreover, bond angle. Let us see bond angle in ethers close to 110. Bond angle in ethers close to 110. In previous class, we have learned. So in case of alcohol, in case of water, it is close to 104.5. So in case of water, bond angle is 104.5. In case of alcohol, it is close to 107. Whereas in case of ethers, it is 110. That means in case of water, both are hydrogen atoms. In between these two hydrogen atoms, repulsion is not exist. That's why their bond angle is 104. And moreover, oxygen in all these three, means in water, alcohol and ether, in all these three, oxygen undergoes sp3 hybridization only. Because of sp3 hybridization, we are expecting 109 degrees 28 minutes bond angle. That's what we call a tetrahedral bond angle. But here, we did not notice tetrahedral bond angle in case of water and alcohol. Because of in case of water and alcohol, due to intermolecular hydrogen bonding, bond angle becomes to 104.5 and 107 like that. Whereas in case of ethers, it is close to tetrahedral bond angle. Again, it proves that there is no intermolecular hydrogen bonding in case of ethers, and its bond angle is close to 110. Whereas in case of water, it is 104, and in case of alcohol, it is 107. So boiling points and bond angles, if you observe, because of hindrance increases, boiling means bond angle increases, we can say. And in case of water and alcohol, because of intermolecular hydrogen bonding, they have strong intermolecular association, and also their bond angle is close to 104.5 and 107, means less than tetrahedral bond angle. Whereas in case of ethers, it is close to tetrahedral bond angles. Now, dipole moment. Ethers has a dipole moment 1.18 debye. That means considerable dipole moment, means we cannot say dipole moment is 0. It has dipole moment. Because of this dipole moment only, in case of ethers, alkyl group carbon acquires partial positive charge and oxygen acquires partial negative charge. Because of this little bit dipole, considerable dipole moment, here dipoles are created, and the dipole, because of the dipole-dipole interaction only, boiling point we can see that much means a little bit variation compared to alkanes. Like here it is 232, 249 and 309, 308 like that. So means that variation we came to know means we can identify only because of dipole moment. And in ethers, CO bond length is 141 picometers. CO bond length in ethers is 141 picometers, which is equals to means CO bond length equals to methyl alcohol. So just like in methyl alcohol CO bond length and in ethers CO bond length both are same, that is 141 only. Let us see chemical properties of ethers. We learn so many properties for alcohols. Even though alcohols and ethers are functional isomers, what properties, how many properties we was learned for alcohols compared to that, chemical properties of ethers are very less. Why? Ether shows less chemical properties, and which type of properties, chemical properties are shown by ethers, let us see. Ethers are less reactive due to absence of functional group. Sir, absence of functional group, why you are saying? OR group is there none? No. Ethers are nothing but derivatives of alkanes. Just like alkanes do not have much more chemical properties, in ethers also chemical properties are very less. So in ethers, OR group is nothing but a substituent, that is not a functional group. That's why ethers are less reactive because of absence of functional group. And do not react with, ethers do not react with base. Ethers do not react with any base, any oxidizing agent, any reducing agent. That means oxidize, you do not oxidize, means with oxidizing agent there is no reaction. You do not reduce because with reducing agent there is no reaction, and with base you do not react. So no reaction with base, reducing agent, oxidizing agent. Whereas all these means base, oxidizing agent, reducing agent, with all these alcohols can react. Alcohol can react with base, of course with specific base. And alcohols can oxidize, alcohols can reduce, alcohols can oxidize. Then we learn mild oxidizing agent, strong oxidizing agent, and those reagents which can oxidize up to aldehydes only and which can bring up to carboxylic acid we learn. And alcohols also can be reduced by red phosphorus and HI into alkanes, that also we learn. Means alcohols react with base, alcohols react with oxidizing agent, alcohol react with reducing agent, and alcohols react with reactive metals also. But whereas ethers do not react with alkalis. Ethers do not react with alkalis, means with base there is no reaction. And ethers are resistant towards oxidation, ethers are resistant towards reduction, ethers do not possess any active hydrogen, ethers do not possess any acidic hydrogen. That's why with the active metals there is no reaction, we can say. So do not react with base, reducing agent, oxidizing agent, or with the active metals, etc. But under normal conditions. So I will give abnormal conditions and drastic conditions. That scenario is completely different. So under normal conditions or ordinary conditions, ethers do not react with oxidizing agents, reducing agents, and active metals, and also base. Right? Now, chemical properties of ethers. So fine. Like unlike alcohols, ethers, it is very clear, ethers chemical properties are completely different. Then which type of properties ethers can show? So chemical properties of ethers are due to, first one, because of alkyl group. So how alkyl group is going to participate in reaction? Yes, in alkyl group hydrogens are there na? Then hydrogens will be replaced by halogens. That means with respect to alkyl group, side chain halogenation. Of course, there is no side chain, halogenation only. So side chain halogenation or halogenation takes place in alkyl groups. Because of halogenation, monohaloethers, dihaloethers, perhaloethers. Monohalo, dihalo, para-halo ethers are product. In presence of dark, means if there is no sunlight, then we are getting controlled halogenation product. I am repeating, in presence of dark or in absence of light, controlled halogenation means monohalogenation or dihalogenation. Whereas in presence of sunlight, polyhalogenation takes place or thoroughly halogenated. All the hydrogen atoms are replaced by halogen atoms. That's what we call para-halo. For example, C2H5O, C2H5 is there. C2H5O, C2H5 is there. This one upon halogenation, in presence of sunlight, in absence of sunlight, say in presence of dark, then what happened? With respect to oxygen, next carbon, CH3, CH2O, CHCl, CH3. Here this carbon is called alpha and this carbon is called beta. So alpha halo ether. If further halogenation takes place, this alpha carbon containing hydrogen will be replaced, then what we call alpha dash dihalo dichloro diethyl ether. Alpha dash dichloro diethyl ether. That we will discuss. Okay. Now, means in presence of dark, monohalogenation takes place, and that monohalogenation preferably takes place at alpha carbon. If all alpha carbon containing hydrogens are replaced by halogen, then it goes to beta carbon containing hydrogen, and means beta carbon containing hydrogens are replaced by halogen atoms. So it will happen in that sequence, right? If all the hydrogen atoms are replaced, that product what we call the para-halo. For example, here 5 hydrogens, here 5 hydrogens are there. All the 5 hydrogens are replaced by 5 chlorines. In such a case, C2Cl5, O C2Cl5 is what we call perchloroether. This is what we call perchloroether, right? Now, side chain means this side chain undergoes halogenation, mono, di or poly. In absence of dark, in absence of light, or in presence of dark, monohalogenation. In presence of light, polyhalogenation or thoroughly halogenation product. Second one, lone pair on ethyl oxygen. In ethyl oxygen, this oxygen consists two lone pairs. This oxygen consists two lone pairs. Now it will try to donate its lone pair of electron to someone. Means electron deficient species, which leads to formation of ethyl peroxide, which are explosive. Ethyl peroxide, which are explosive. That means first one with respect to alkyl group, their substitution takes place. Hydrogens are substituted by halogens, and with respect to lone pair upon ethyl oxygen, this ethyl oxygen lone pair actually it is able to donate. But don't forget that tendency to donate lone pair of electron is called Lewis basic nature. Ethers are having less Lewis basic nature. Ethers are having less Lewis basic nature. Why? Here, in general, what we are expecting? This is alkyl group. Alkyl group means plusyl group, means electron releasing group. And this one also alkyl group, plusyl group, means electron releasing group. Because of presence of two electron releasing group, both are giving electrons to oxygen, and basically oxygen also possesses two lone pairs. That's why in general what we are expected, they have more and more electron density upon oxygen. That's why it is able to donate lone pair of electron. But don't forget that because of presence of two alkyl group and nothing but more hindrance, because of more hindrance, oxygen ability to donate the lone pair of electron is less. I am repeating once again. Because of presence of lone pair in one way, in one aspect, we are expecting that alkyl groups are electron releasing groups. Because of electron releasing groups, oxygen is able to donate its lone pair of electron much more. That's why Lewis basic nature is more. But practically Lewis basic nature for ethers is less. Why less? Because of steric hindrance. The steric hindrance caused by alkyl groups only. So, because of steric hindrance, oxygen ability to donate lone pair of electron is less. And cleavage of OH bond, OC bond. In ethers, OC bond, by cleavage of OC bond, Yeah, few properties it shows. Few properties it shows that how the OC bond is going to cleavage. That depends upon this carbon. Whether this carbon is primary, in case of primary and secondary, that cleavage is one type, and if this carbon is a tertiary carbon, that cleavage is different type. That we will discuss in detail. And ring substitution in case of aromatic ethers. In case of aromatic ethers like anisole, because of OR group is a strong ring activating group, OR group is a strong ring activating group, this oxygen lone pair is going to take part in resonance. That's why ortho and para positions will become much more electron rich. Because of ortho and para positions are electron rich, here it activates ring. Ortho and para positions are electron rich. That's why if any electrophile, it prefers to go to ortho and para position. That means it involves in electrophilic substitution reactions. Let us see chemical properties of ethers.